The problem, of course, is that if we kind of, I'm going to be a little vague here, but if we, launch with MEV boost and Flashbot relay, whatever that means, then it means that functionally we're launching with censorship built in from the merge. Like as soon as the merge lands, we've got censorship happening as soon as we hit the ground. Now, there are some caveats here. One, of course.
Yes, welcome back everybody to Altcoin Daily. My name's Austin. If you're invested in Ethereum, you should hear this. This is from an ETH Core Devs meeting yesterday. So these are the Ethereum developers, the believers, the people responsible for the merge, talking about the risks of the upcoming merge happening in September. I want to share with you a clip of a much bigger, over 75-minute discussion. We'll talk about what this means for you as an ETH holder. But first, just to clue everybody in, what is the merge and why is the merge important? If you know this, feel free to skip ahead, timestamps below, ahead of the video. But when and what is the merge? Well, the Ethereum blockchain is all set to make its highly anticipated transition from its current proof of work mining consensus to proof of stake. The merge date is officially scheduled for September 15th or 16th, less than 30 days away. And this is all to make the Ethereum network, as well as the DeFi built on top of it, less energy intensive, because they'll no longer be using all that computing power to mine new blocks into existence. Instead, it'll be stakers validating the network. And two, the merge will eventually lead to a more scalable network. Eventually. That will not happen in September. That is still years away with roll-ups and sharding. And that discussion's for another day. But in a nutshell, that is the merge. And what we just uncovered in this call, filled with Ethereum core developers, the people that would know, is that when the merge upgrade occurs, it will come with centralization built in. That's their words, that's a direct quote. Which isn't good for a network that aims to be, wants to be, as decentralized as possible. Now, this clip is a full 4 minutes long, so stay tuned for the full thing. And just to define two terms that you're about to hear, number one is miner extractable value, MEV. What is MEV? MEV is an abbreviation of miner extractable value that has actually recently changed to maximal extractable value, which refers to the profits that can be made by extracting value from Ethereum users through block production. So this is a way for validators of the network, whether it's miners, stakers, it's a way to manipulate the ordering of transactions for an individual's benefit. Given the vast financial application ecosystem built on Ethereum, there's often an arbitrage opportunity in the ordering of transactions. The producers of blocks can reorder, sandwich, meaning the act of front-running a large order only to use their market order as exit liquidity to profit from the spread. So reorder, sandwich, or censor transactions within blocks being produced. It typically affects DeFi users interacting with automated market makers and other apps. If this still sounds confusing, don't get bogged down in the technicals. Just know you'll hear the term MEV in this audio I'm about to share with you, and it can be used to manipulate for a centralized party's gain. You'll also hear the term Flashbots. What is a Flashbot? Flashbots is a research and development organization working on mitigating the negative externalities of current MEV extraction techniques and avoiding the existential risks MEVs could cause to state-rich blockchains like Ethereum. Our primary goal is to enable permissionless, transparent, and fair ecosystem for MEV extraction. So this is meant to incentivize a fair ecosystem, decentralization if nothing else, in Ethereum. Well, those are the two terms you're about to hear. The ETH devs also start this conversation talking about the recent sanctions on Tornado Cash from the US government. Listen to the full 4 minutes of this clip, and then afterwards, I want to share with you my breakdown, my opinion on the subject. Watch this.
So the TLDR, for anyone who's been living under a rock, the US government recently sanctioned one of the contracts on Ethereum. So allegedly, depending on how you interpret that, US citizens are not allowed to interact with those contracts. And then some people are interpreting this in different ways. Some people believe that means that if you are a relay, you're not allowed to relay transactions. I would assume that some people also believe this means you can't gossip such transactions. There are some people who believe that you can't interact with any address who has interacted with those sanctioned addresses. There's just a very broad range of beliefs of what this actually means. No one's quite sure yet. So people are implementing different solutions all across the board. For the sake of this group and this discussion, I think the one that impacts us the most is the decision of Flashbots to censor transactions that are coming into the Flashbots relay. I think they actually do it on their builder side. I don't remember the exact technical spot where they do the blacklisting, but the functional effect is that if you send a censored transaction to the Flashbots relay, or if it sees one in the mempool, or you send a bundle to them that has it, they will just ignore that bundle or that block or that transaction, and they won't mine it. The problem, of course, is that if we I'm going to be a little vague here, but if we launch with MEV boost and Flashbot relay, whatever that means, then it means that functionally we're launching with censorship built in from the merge. Like as soon as the merge lands, we've got censorship happening as soon as we hit the ground. Now, there are some caveats here. One, of course, miners or validators can choose to run whatever software they want. We can't stop them, and there is no way for us to functionally stop people from censoring. Two, Flashbots isn't the only relay builder. There's also Bloxroute. Bloxroute has 2 relays that they've asserted will not be censoring, and they have a third relay that they'll be providing that is not live yet, but they plan on building that will be censoring. And then there's a third party, Manifold, who claims to be building a relay, but they don't have anything to show for it yet. And so the question I think we have to answer, and this is, again, ideally, if we can answer this somehow without getting into the philosophy, that'd be great, but I don't know if that's going to be possible, is do we want to go into the merge with MEV Boost and all the associated software and connections and tutorials and documentation, etc., when we know that the centralized entities that are going to be in control of this are providing censorship software to their users? I don't think there's an easy answer to this. I mean, I have pretty strong opinions, but even I recognize this is a complex situation, and there's not an easy and obvious answer. Especially with Bloxroute, so Flashbots is a little more clear cut. Like they're only offering censorship. That's the only option. Bloxroute is a little different because they are offering the user to choose. The caveat there is that we'd be pointing users, say, hey, go check out Bloxroute, and then they go to Bloxroute, and Bloxroute is telling them, hey, this is how you undermine the censorship resistance of Ethereum by running this thing. Or if you don't want to undermine Ethereum, run this thing. And so I can definitely see, some people may feel differently on either side. The other caveat I'll say before we start discussing is that I recognize that this is the all-core devs call. I recognize it's mostly execution layer devs, and we've kind of handed the keys of the kingdom, so to speak, over to the consensus layer. So the consensus layer is in a better position to actually do something here than I think the execution layer is. The reason I wanted to bring it up is just because the merge is so close. I think there's value in getting the discussion going, and because we do have some consensus layer clients on this call, and so it's a good opportunity just to discuss and talk about it.
Okay, what do you think about this? Seriously, I would love to hear your take down below in the comment section. Drop a number 1 down below if you think this is the problem. Drop a 2 down below in the comment section if you think nothing to worry about, the ETH devs have it handled. To me, this reminds me of the scalability trilemma in blockchains, which is, I would say, an issue on every single cryptocurrency on CoinMarketCap today, which is you can't really have all 3 at the same time. That's scalability, decentralization, and security. The trilemma is you can only usually pick 2. For example, Bitcoin is the most decentralized. It has the most security, but it's not that scalable. As opposed to Litecoin, let's say, it has way less security, doesn't have near the hash power that the Bitcoin network has. Probably similar decentralization, probably a little less, but it's much more scalable. So it sacrifices security, slight decentralization for more scalability. Looking at a dApp platform, let's say layer 2, like Polygon, for example, it is very scalable. It has very good security. It shares the security of the Ethereum network. But in terms of decentralization, doesn't compete with something like Bitcoin. The nodes are way more centralized. The amount of people running nodes are all around the world. The development team, there's only one development team for a lot of these cryptos, unlike Bitcoin where the developers are global. But the point is, what this means to you is nothing is perfect. But in this scalability trilemma, usually you can only have 2 out of the 3. And when you choose those two, or even closer to one, you sacrifice the others. Now, how this relates to Ethereum and the merge, while the blockchain as we know it now, in my opinion, was always the second best in decentralization, the second best in security, it also wasn't that scalable, hence the merge. What we just heard on that call is that in order to make it more scalable, it turns out there are some trade-offs in decentralization that the developers are discussing. Mainly, is it worth it? Can we get around it? What trade-offs can we do in order to make this work? That's where this call stands right now. Give me your thoughts down below. And finally, is this something you, as an ETH holder, need to be worried about? Well, for me, I can only speak for me. For me, it doesn't change my opinion because this is information we've known all along. That is why there's a war with Bitcoin maxis versus Ethereum maxis, because the Bitcoin maxi community has made it very clear they will only make trade-offs to support decentralization. They'll keep the network less scalable whenever a trade-off comes up in order to support decentralization. And the ETH community, honestly also because they have to, they have two different use cases here. Bitcoin's value comes as a store of value. It gets its value from hodling. ETH's a DApp platform, meaning it gets its value as a network from developers building. I am still very bullish on both cryptos for totally different reasons, but just know that discussion in the devs call we just heard, par for the course as we watch the experimentation take place as the crypto market evolves.